Devil's Third would prove to be one of the more infamous games of the 7th gen and, due to how long it took, the 8th gen too. Rockstar developer Tomonobu Itagaki's high-profile departure from Tecmo would sow the seeds for the formation of Valhalla Game Studios, but their first game would lag in development hell for 6 years due to a partnership falling through with Microsoft and the collapse of 2 further prospective publishers. Only a rescuing by Nintendo would at last see this action game releasing in 2015. Unfortunately, it's a game that fell out of its time, and the gestated development would show in the final release. Dated visuals, underwhelming mechanics, and a lack of cohesion leaves Ivan's misadventures feeling downright poor. Devil's Third arguably peaks during its chaotic opening, as the camera pans down from a riot at Guantanamo Bay caused by a major satellite outage to protagonist Ivan performing a mental drum solo. He's a former member of SOD, a terrorist group responsible for said outages. While Ivan has been redeeming himself with missions for the government, this new objective sends him around the world chasing after this group and current members he once called friends. Sadly, this opening is not indicative of the rest of the game, with Ivan being surprisingly muted considering his outlandish, Yakuza mob-esque appearance with a Russian accent. None of the story beats feel well directed, memorably voiced, or contribute to the atmosphere, and leave everything turning into one big sludge.
I need you to get past him to get to the surface to meet me. Do you copy?
Every asshole in this place knows I'm working for you. Might be a few minutes.
The big gimmick touted for this one is the fusion of shooting and brawling. It seemed to mesh Itagaki's work on Ninja Gaiden with a more traditional shooter, and it could have worked well. Unfortunately, the controls just can't handle the juggling act required. The third-person camera swaps to a first-person perspective when aiming, which already feels jarring. Ivan will automatically stick to most surfaces and take cover, which also feels unwieldy due to his speed seeing you whiz straight past cover, though you can turn this function off. But the switch to melee is also poor, with a delay that often sees you being chopped up sharpish. The camera suffers in this mode, often straying to the ground and impairing your vision somewhat. And the control scheme feels unwieldy, as due to managing so many inputs, button placement for functions like reloading, swapping weapons, and jumping all feel out of place. It also makes disappointingly unadventurous use of the unique gamepad controller. Even with metal pipes, katanas, and cookery knives, melee combat lacks the dynamism and speed of competing games, and will often boil down to button mashing if you find an opening. Shooting suffers from weapons which feel weak, more like shooting Nerf guns thanks to awful sound effects, and the shotgun may be one of the worst of recent memory. Both are compounded by woeful AI, be it the idiotic friendlies who have stormtrooper aim, or the enemies which lack aggression and are content to wait for you to kill them. General combat is straightforward, and while Ivan feels a tad fragile on the standard setting, careful cover and timed melee flurries should suffice. Bosses, on the flip side, feel horrendous. Content to trap you in unblockable combos, grabs dealing huge damage, and some bosses even being able to one-hit kill you, you'll pull your hair out once you start to come across these bigger encounters. In trying to please both shooting and brawler fans, Devil's Third ends up repelling both. Outside of combat, there is occasional climbing and scanning the environment to avoid mines, but they add very little.
Here they come! Shot. Okay. Low on ammo! Only number that counts is how many we take with us.
Devil's Third also lacks polish, feeling immensely undercooked visually. While some levels look decent and run well, and main characters often look the part compared to ugly enemy models, others suffer from rampant texture popping, ugly designs and objects, and severe slowdown which can negatively affect gameplay. These bugs can also harm the player, as enemies can clip through cover and shoot you without much chance for reprieve. When there's no bugs, you can tell this is a game which started life in 2009, and it fails to take much advantage of the system. The sound doesn't fare much better. Weapons lack punch, the music is almost an afterthought, and the voice acting jumps from bland to abysmal. But it's never so bad it becomes enjoyable, it just proves a chore to listen to. You could probably polish off this one in a couple of sittings, with 9 missions spread across the globe. There are 6 collectibles in each stage, and a tougher difficulty for the masochistic types, but otherwise it feels like you can get your fill of this one in a single playthrough, with neither providing satisfactory rewards. Devil's Third did have a multiplayer mode, but Nintendo shut the service for it just 14 months after launch. Considering it relies on the same mechanics as the woeful campaign, and was reportedly rampant with microtransactions that unbalanced the competitive modes, it's probably no great loss. In fact, Devil's Third wouldn't have been missed much if cancellation was its ultimate fate. Instead, Nintendo's baffling acquisition of this one results in one of the worst exclusives the publisher has ever overseen, an outdated hybrid shooter that struggles with control woes, horrendous visuals, and a lack of general pizzazz. You'd think slicing goons with a katana and blowing up tanks with an RPG would merit some sort of fun, but instead, every possible drip of enjoyment is drained through mechanical missteps and technical failings. Unless you are desperate for action on your Wii U, this one is probably better left in purgatory.
Stella, get these boys to a safe LZ. I'm off the leash.
What the hell?
Ivan!